Today we'll be looking at this image by historic painter Sycra Streams, and we'll be joined by John Higglebottom and Mayor Pumpkinnickel. So let's get right to it. Sycra, a very astounding artist in his own right. All the historians agree, excellent stuff. But what about this image in particular? This Queen Elizardbeth. What do you think about this? I'd like your thoughts on it.
Well, my thoughts really are that it's one of his best works, if not his best work.
And I would ask you to just look at the draftsmanship of it all. It's reminiscent of the work of Dürer, but I would say, and this is with all seriousness here, that I would say it's perhaps even greater than that. So my thoughts really are that this is one of the 21st century's greatest creations, and really I'd like to hear other people's views on it.
Well, my view personally is that,
I mean, I'm with you on most points. It is certainly an important piece. Now, whether it's one of the greatest of the 21st century, I'm not sure about that. I mean, I know I'm being rather controversial here by saying it, by even suggesting that the historic Queen Elizardbeth piece isn't perhaps the greatest work, but I mean, even in the works of Sycra, if you look at his earlier works, they had a lot more meaning to them than this piece. This to me is more just eye candy. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is to me. And what do you think, Peter? Here is Peter Newman of the London Times, by the way. What do you think, Peter? Well, honestly, I'd have to completely disagree. This here is, I mean, with all due respect to my colleague, this has symbolism. Now, for instance, just look at the hand. 5 fingers. We have 5 fingers on this hand. Now, think about that. The number 5. Now, Jesus had 12 disciples. If you subtract 7 of those disciples, you have 5. And here, we have 5 fingers. Out of nowhere. I mean, think about it. 5 fingers. What is the symbolism of that? If not a commentary on the entire Christian religion. Okay, hold on. Alright, Sickbrush, are you with us?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Hello, Paul, BBC, everyone, Queen of England, hello.
Yes, hello, Sickbrush.
I would have to disagree with Mr. Paul over there, since actually Jesus had 12 fingers. So if you would try to portray his attitude of salvation within this piece, with the grasp of the Queen, you would have to also add the extra 2 fingers, the fingers of truth and passion.
Now, what do you think about that, Paul? Well, I mean, this is all hypothetical that Jesus had 12 fingers. I've heard Jesus had 10 fingers. I've heard Jesus had 12 fingers. I've heard Jesus had 18 fingers. In some of the earlier texts, it's been said that Jesus had up to and including, and I quote from the original Greek Orthodox text, Jesus had 91 fingers.
That is preposterous.
Now, is it? It
is preposterous.
And for those of you who don't know, let's just go over Sickbrush's credentials, because he is an authority on both religious studies and art history. Sickbrush, known throughout the world, graduated from Harvard, Oxford, and Yale at the age of 5 years old, inventor of the internet, and also one of our shining stars. So I'll hand it back over to you, Sickbrush.
Thank you for the very kind introduction. I'm pleased that my little tip on connecting two computers together grew to such popularity. However, I should have probably tried to get more money off it. Nevertheless, yes, I have graduated these, and in the meantime, several other prestigious universities across the world. Recently graduated from the California University of Arts, where in my history class I have personally studied and analyzed the Red Sea manuscripts and the tablets. And you see, the fact that Jesus had 91 fingers is a preposterous assumption. I'm very sorry, I don't know who exactly your your other guest is. I'm not aware of his existence, which probably means something. But this assumption, and I have heard it before on different mediums of communications, thunder, clouds, rain, Twitter, everywhere. It is growing as a hypothesis that is entirely incorrect. So, Jesus Christ had 12 fingers, and he chose one apostle for each finger. Now, John had the right middle finger, and he was okay with it because he really loved Jesus. However, Judas had the left middle finger, and he felt completely left out because of that, which created the entire, as we know, the entire issue between them. So,
Absolutely. Well, this is common knowledge, but go on.
So yes, I just wanted to reinforce the actual historical data.
All right. So do you have a rebuttal to that? You're asking me. Yes, we're asking you. Okay. Well, I mean, you've invited Sickbrush over here. Everyone knows that he is the authority on the subject, so I'm not going to argue. Okay, let's give him the 12 fingers argument, and we all can. I'll just give him that, and the Judas middle finger things too. But the Apostle John, and we are talking about the Apostle John Silver here, one of the greatest apostles. He performed many miracles. I don't actually think he was an apostle at all, to be honest with you.
Oh, but he was. It is written.
It's written in one book, but here's the thing again. I'm going back to the original Greek books, not the Venezuelan Bible, which the world all follows right now as the Venezuelan Bible, but I'd like to go back to the Greek, honestly. But
well, Bible schmible, but the initial writings were done in Mesopotamia and Babylon. And when they painted the Blue Gate, they really took into consideration, actually, what people don't know about the Blue Gate of Babylon, which is the entry to the Babylon city, is that it has 12 windows, and they are all pointing north. So this is something that people should definitely take into consideration instead of the whatever triangle eye on the dollar bill stuff, because this is proof, this is harsh fact, this is a another reminder of Jesus's rather peculiar attraction towards the number 12.
Well, I think, Sickbrush, you certainly do like to babble on, since we're talking about Babylon here so much, but I'd like to move it back to art. And this piece in particular, the Elizardbeth, sorry, the Elizardbeth piece, because really, let's talk about its historic context. This is a groundbreaking work, and
yes.
I'd like to talk about why works like this aren't being shown to children in schools. That's one of my concerns. If children aren't from an early age seeing great works of art like Michelangelo's David or Sycra's Elizardbeth, how are they getting what they need? I mean, schools all across Great Britain, certainly across America, and I've even been told in cold countries like in Australia, kids just aren't learning about art anymore. It's preposterous. They're so focused on maths and sciences and studying Jupiter, even though we have so much information that Jupiter is actually where the witches have their main base station to perform their witchcraft.
Witchcraft.
Such as Harry Potter and all the rest. We don't have to go into that right now. That's entirely another topic. But why isn't art being taught? And again, Sickbrush, I'll hand it over to you. You're an authority on art education as well. Why do you think in our country and other countries that art is being neglected in this way?
Yes, thank you. This is indeed a very, very interesting question. Well, as you might know already, I have made it my personal vendetta and challenge, and my personal goal in life to prevent this from happening, and to offer to children, to our children, after all, the proper means of artistic education. And oftentimes, like you said yourself, proper artistic education involves the presentation of fantastic art, to which our children must be exposed in due time, so that they grow awareness to it, they grow likeness to it, and eventually they will carry the flag that we leave behind. Now, for pieces such as Elizardbeth, I absolutely have no clue whatsoever why the artistic community would ban this from being a biology class cover book, or a large sized print for everyone to look at on their way to the cafeteria in art school, because you never really cease to be amazed and inspired by the inspirational art that you see. So I absolutely agree with you. Now, the problem is, and it has always been this problem. You see, the problem is the brushes. And there has been a long dispute in the artistic community regarding brushes. Now, the only way to fix this is to properly explain to the artistic community that brushes are very important, and they are a piece of you. They are your index fingers. They are your soul, if you want. They are your connection to your canvas. They are the way you express your inner feelings, your frustrations, your goals, your desire. Why not? For rather erotic pieces. So it is my duty, my sworn duty, to help inform the youth regarding these issues, and rather shelter them from unwanted and wrong education, such as the classics.
That's a good point you're bringing up, because brushes are, in their nature, of course, as you mentioned, they are erotic. Certainly for myself, I find myself often dreaming in bed about brushes, the different kinds of brushes. But what about other tools, such as smudge tool? Because I've heard somewhere that perhaps more than anything, the smudge tool is actually one of the greatest inventions, and it's being overlooked. Lasso tools and this, but brushes, yes, back to brushes. I'm with you. I think brushes are essential. They're vital. They are what create art. Certainly, without the right custom brushes, an artist, even of the caliber of Sycra, wouldn't be able to draw anything. His faces would look like dog muck. Pardon the English, but certainly custom brushes. The other thing is what program to use. A lot of people have said completely ridiculous things, that Painter, for instance, could produce what Photoshop.
Blasphemous.
It's nonsense. We all know that indeed Photoshop is the only piece of software that can create actual art. Now, we have a question from one of the viewers calling in. Is there a way that we could rally up to propose to the artistic community to have Queen Elizardbeth, on every wall at every single cafeteria in all schools? Is there a way, Sickbrush?
I believe so, yes. Or at least I prefer to live in a state of mind that allows me to dream that it is possible. I think only by sharing this information and and sharing what we have discussed over here at BDC Live. I think only by sharing this and by grabbing and gaining awareness to this issue will we always be able to fight off some of the most ridiculous theories. And let me just mention some of these ridiculous artistic theories that we come across on a daily basis. For example, study is important. Absolutely preposterous.
Nonsense.
Brushes are not important. I have no idea who came up with this, but it is entirely wrong. You can paint without a double 24-inch screens. That is, again, just flaming with blasphemy. So there are very many, very like countless examples of, like, you don't need a scarf. I really want to meet the person who came up with this. Like, you do not need a scarf. What is this? What kind of a person would say this in public?
Well, it's the people who haven't studied about art. Obviously, this is the problem. You have these people with zero qualifications coming to our schools and telling the young children, you don't need a scarf to paint. I mean, come on. We've known since the 5th century, that you need a scarf to paint. You need a top hat to paint. I don't know. And this, yes, I've heard it as well. And honestly, it makes me cry. Sometimes I can't sleep at night, thinking that there are kids out there being taught about studying art. You don't study art, you create it with a custom brush. That's why they're called custom, because they customize the whole image. They make it perfect. How can you not use a custom brush? Custom brushes are what create art. Again, another... Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, a very good question from the viewer. Let me address this. How do you feel Queen Elizardbeth tackles the connections between relational aesthetics and postmodernism? Paul?
Relational aesthetics and postmodernism. Well, yes. Honestly, I don't know. It's beyond me, because relational aesthetics, the idea of relational aesthetics, that to some people aesthetics are something, to some others they're something else. I don't think aesthetics are that way. I think aesthetics are an agreed upon thing. It's standardized. I would like to change relational aesthetics to standardized aesthetics, because that's what they are. No one can have multiple opinions about something. I mean, no two people. It either is or it isn't. And we're all here agreeing that the Queen Elizardbeth is the great one, if not the greatest work.
Yes, we are.
One of the greatest works. But what I'd like to know, especially from you, Sickbrush, being such a scholar, is what do you feel about these people saying things like undo is not allowed, you shouldn't be undoing?
Well, I would personally love to meet a person, a living person on top of this planet, who does not want to go back in time and press undo at least once in his personal endeavors. I believe the undo tool should be standardized for life. Like, I believe everyone should have the right and the means to undo an issue that has occurred at a certain point in time. So regarding art, of course, we keep holding on to preposterous and absurd theories, like, oh, the great painters of the medieval age, of the Renaissance, we keep referring to those as being really good, and they were peasants after all. Historically speaking, they were peasants.
Absolutely.
Now,
yeah.
we coming from a from a royal bloodline like I have and like you have, it is you cannot mingle with the small people. So it has always been one of my crudest nightmares to be scholared by peasants and touched by them, you know. And sometimes I even cringe when they speak directly to me. It's just this shouldn't happen in modern society.
I think homeless people should be kicked in their faces.
I'm sorry, who are you?
My name's I forget my name, but it's not important. I think.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, let's kick them in the face. Yay!
Sir, aren't you yourself homeless? How did you get in this studio?
I'm not.
Chelsea, Manchester United. Hey.
I'm homeless.
Is this the match? Is this the match? This doesn't
Alright.
look like a match, lad.
Well, I apologize to all our viewers. We're going to resolve this. There's been an incident where some rowdy hooligans have come into the studio. We're dealing with this. I apologize again, profusely, to all our viewers. We assure you
your mother,
that we have the highest standards in our programming, and this is atypical of the kind of show you would expect from us. Alright, so now the problem with the homeless has been dealt with.
Who was that one? Jesus.
Indeed.
Oh, he almost looked at me.
Well, you know how important it is they don't look at you, because as you all know, when homeless people look at you, you turn into ice. And they use that ice for their soft drinks to make them cool, because homeless people like nothing more than to sip on a cool soft drink.
Oh, these practices should be forbidden. I would not want my child to witness such a thing. Cold things.
Indeed, hot drinks are the only way to go. We've all established that. So, what other topics are there that we want to discuss? I would like to put it out to the online community. Now, this is a new community founded recently by our good friend Sickbrush here. But are there any questions from the online community? I'll go to our operators to see if they have any.
No, there don't appear to be any questions at the moment. We're keeping an eye out on what is known as the chat to see if there are any questions, but at the moment it doesn't seem that there are, so let's throw it back to you guys.
Yes.
And your...
Hello? Yes, mother. No, I cannot speak right now. I'm on live television. I'm sorry. I'll get back to you, Mom. Yeah. No,
Oh,
yeah.
oh,
Thank you for being proud. Oh,
coming
I
in
love you.
is a question. I'm going to try and pronounce this name correctly. I'm not sure if I'll get it right. It's a bit of a tongue twister, but Sahamandali asks, I know that Queen Elizardbeth has.
Delay.
I think it's
It's a silent H, I'm sure.
Oh, salmon.
So it's like
salmon.
Yes.
Salmon asks, I know that.
Salmon dulé. Oui.
Ah, it's French. Samandoulet asks, I know that Queen Elizardbeth has been the epitome of symbolist paintings throughout the century. Do you have any advice on how to create a painting that stirs the imagination?
Do not define things. Don't bother your artistic brain, your mind's eye. Don't bother it with just useless details such as anatomy, the composition, color theory. These will only provide you with a blockage. These will act like a blockage to your creation. What you need to do is just be free. You need to spread your creative wings and unite with your canvas. And I personally adore paintings that have just a brush stroke or a spot of Pepsi or perhaps some chocolate smudge, because that is in reality your heritage. That is what you leave behind as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is pure. It comes from your soul. It comes from the grocery store that your soul visits. So it is you. It is your artistic fingerprint throughout the decades and the centuries.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. One of the most disgusting, insidious pieces of work that has come about is this notion of things having perspective. That the idea of perspective even exists. I mean, I know all of us here cringe at the thought, but the idea that things need perspective or composition, and that people actually practice this thumbnail idea where they actually create thumbnails. The best work I've ever seen has been spontaneous, and that's what I believe true art is. It's very much spontaneous. You go to the washroom, you have your bowel movement, and before flushing you take a little bit of that fecal matter and you wipe it on your chest, and then you lie down on a big canvas and rub your chest on that canvas. Rub it in and see what you get. Now that is going to be art. It's going to smell like art. That's what we like, is the art that not...
Oh my god. Yes.
Not
Well,
only
I'm sorry, I just
do you see it, you smell it.
I just had such a vivid memory from Harvard in my art class. We have done this together. It was a very small, intimate group of 13 people, and it was just exhilarating. I just can't. I'm gonna need a minute here.
Take your time.
I have some water. Thank you. I apologize.
No need to
Yes.
apologize. It is emotional. It's emotional. We've all felt it. Please go ahead.
Yes. This is imagine this is the feeling and the movement that I get when reliving a memory that has long gone. Like so many years have passed since, and it still lives within me so strong. So until one had experienced such a thing, one cannot simply assume that things are different, because they are not. They are not. This is the proper way to get connected to your work and to your audience.
Yes, and this is what I want to share with our viewers. You could hear the emotion in his voice. I mean, I don't mean to exploit your emotion. I just want to use it to show people that you can't get this kind of emotion looking at these so-called representational works of art. They're just... It doesn't work. No one has ever seen a painting by Rembrandt and ever teared up. No one has ever felt any emotion from derivative works like that. But when you have this physical activity with 13 people covered in their own fecal matter, and hold on, I'm getting rather aroused just thinking about it, but it is emotion at its purest. It is the stuff that makes you just want to just cover yourself in feces.
Yes, I must tell you, our dear viewers, that the atmosphere here in the studio has there is just so much energy right now that you can just feel it. It envelops you. It is, yes, and I do have to agree on the point on Rembrandt and other masters of the so-called
Masters.
Yes, I know. Yeah. Well, it is wrong. The only way to achieve emotional art, besides your own, I will just avoid saying it because the memories are too strong. The only way to achieve an emotional aspect to your art, and something that people will relate to and will remember, is by practicing and achieving photorealism. When a person sees a painting and he cannot understand whether it is a photo or a painting, you have grabbed this person's soul forever. Especially if it's some rather simple themes like shower cap, bubble gum, tissues.
Right.
By achieving photorealism with these pieces, you are definitely on your way to become a modern master.
Right. And we all know there's a group of art, thankfully this is growing in number, but that they just give up the idea that you need photorealism in a painting, and they just go for the photo. I mean, why not, right? They just go for the real deal, the photo. What has been created that surpasses the photo? What's the need to paint with brushes? Paint with your camera lens. Honestly, find the things, household things you see every day, and capture them in unique ways. Because if you can vary the focus on things, put some things close to you in a soft focus, some things distant, clear, in a stronger focus, that's gonna improve your art more than anything else. A scholar by the name of Chaos Theory said it perfectly. Just take a photo.
Yes. Yes.
To be honest, I think it's arrogant of the current art establishment that's forming these. You get groups that form these horrible groups. They're insidious, really, but Crimson Daggers. Just the name, Crimson Daggers. It's violent. It's vile. It makes you think of bloodshed, of death, of destruction, and that's what their artwork really is. Portraying these monsters, these. It's terrible. And not charging for it, that's the worst crime of all. Because how can anyone appreciate the value of something? Honestly, the value of something, how can it be appreciated if you assign no value at all? Because that's what free is, right? Free means no value. It's got no cost. Air is free. Air has no value. We don't need air. Without air, we'd all be better off. But that's why it's free, because no one needs it. Take education, too. I know you, for instance, Sickbrush, even though you got many scholarships, you still paid at least $123 million for all your schooling. And that's considered on the low end, and here's people charging absolutely nothing with violent names like Crimson Daggers, promoting rape, promoting death, murder,
degradation
of all kinds, degradation of all kinds. And have you seen the faces of some of these people that are under group members? I saw one of these members, Daniel Warren. I saw his face. I saw the hatred in his face. Now this, you just don't.
It is brutal.
You don't see this in normal civilized people. But these. They have it. This group, Crimson Daggers.
No.
It's number one.
This has to end. I feel obliged to say that I owe my entire artistic education and my entire evolution as an artist to the fact that I come from a royal descendants line, and this has allowed me to easily pay any and every taxes put in front of me. And I have done that in the idea that art is something that only some people should follow.
Right.
This is another false myth, another disgusting theory that art is for anyone. Oh,
yeah.
No. Blacksmithing is
preposterous. Absolutely, yes. Except for us, right?
Don't be silly. So, I have gladly paid every single tax put in front of me, and I will continue to do so in the idea that it is my birthright to do so. It is what separates me from the mass, from the peasants, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
And it is my right, and I shall pursue it, So, groups like the Crimson Daggers, they just bring a mundane image to artistic education. Like the ridiculous idea that art study can be free. What is this? This is modern society we're talking about now.
I'll tell you what it is. It's an idea that existed in. It's an idea for the cavemen, really, and that's what these people are. I mean, let's not mince words here. They are cavemen. They are repulsive, atrocious beings. They don't mate with their cousins. One of the reasons I know I can trust you, Sickbrush, and all people here, because we're all from royal lines, is that we're family, really.
Yes, literally.
And
yes.
our parents are family. You marry your brothers, your sisters, your cousins. This is how you maintain the quality.
It is the way God had intended it to be.
Absolutely. God, and let's not forget God's brother, Buddha, because often he's given a bum rap just because he was...
What was his name again? I can't remember the scribe's description. I think it was Broseph.
Right. Broseph Buddha.
Yes, and their cousin Broseidon. Yeah. The ruler of the Brosian. Yes, I remember now. Please carry on.